Willie D. Live.
I used to want to say, so how did the slave buy themselves out of slavery? Well, since everybody wasn't rich, you had poor white farmers who could not afford to own a slave. On Sundays, slaves had the day off, people who weren't slaves. They went to whoever owned them and said, look, I got Sundays off. I ain't really in the church and singing. So my wife is going to go to church and sing. I would like to lease myself out to this other farm, and then we'll do a 60-40 split or 50-50 split. And that's when a teacher, Miss Baraki, who was under Dr. Asa Hilliard's curriculum out of Clark, when Miss Baraki helped me understand that slaves weren't just mindless animals being used. They used their mind. They used their ingenuity. They rented themselves out, kept the money, split the money, and then after a certain taxes paid, now I've bought my wife out. Now my wife will go rent herself out to sew. It's a seamstress in town. I've learned how to sew. It's all I've been doing since I was 5 years old. My skills are valuable to this white woman who needs, so now I go sew. Now you have people that said, even though this horrible thing has happened to us, the skills that I've got from here on a free market on Sundays matter, and they were able to do that. But if we don't give our children the whole truth, they start to think, man, we was just lowly animals, and that's all we'll ever be, and that's not the truth. They start to think to themselves, man, the skills I have of barbering or carpentry or electrician, it ain't enough because I didn't go to college. But that's not true. I don't care how much college you have. I got an uncle who's autistic. He can't count $100, but he could build his whole shop. I can count $100. I can't put a hammer and nail to save my life. So who you think gonna be most valuable in the market when they got to rebuild the infrastructure?
Right.
You know, so we have to start to see even the worst of suffering has some blessing in it for us. So again, I'm not defending and saying slavery was beneficial in terms of everything was hunky-dory. But even in the midst of slavery, we figured out a way to prevail.
You can make anything beneficial
We
to you.
figured out a way to prevail, man. Think about that. We haven't been free 60 years of apartheid. My parents were born in apartheid, 1955 and 1959. Jim Crow was still raging. Apartheid. We couldn't even walk in every door, you know what I mean? But you look at it, look at their son. Their son's a multimillionaire now. Their great-grandchildren will never want if they apply themselves. You understand what I'm saying? That is something to celebrate. So I'm not, I'm never jumping on the side to say, oh, it was good for us. I saw a white boy on TV, he thought it was smart. He said, America was built by white folks and yada, yada, yada. And I thought to myself, you might have laid out, and I'll give you Benjamin Banneker as a perfect example. Whoever the person was that was designed in Washington, D.C., I think it might have been a Frenchman or something, he got pissed off with other white folks in America. He left. If Benjamin Banneker had not had a photographic memory to say, well, these were the plans he laid out, you wouldn't have Washington, D.C. as you have it today. Because he was a lowly assistant, and he remembered. He was the person able to do that. When they burnt the White House down, who were the people that rebuilt it? So when you hear somebody say, y'all didn't build America, I don't even argue with them. Because I own a business, so you can't argue with me. If you give me a choice between free labor and market rate, I'm gonna take free labor all day. So you can't tell me we didn't build America, because I don't care who had drafted up the plans, who put hammer to nail.
Who did the work?
Cotton was one of the most valuable resources in the world. If that cotton didn't get picked by these black hands, and those black hands that were up north working in textiles and industry, if they didn't thread that cotton and make it to something to be sold, what would this country have been? Slavery gave this country a 250-year head start economically. If Haiti wouldn't have sent the French back packing, America never would have had Louisiana, never would have had Texas, or anything worse than that. Because they kicked the French's ass in such a bad way, they had to leave, and economically, they couldn't fight the ex-Brits that were over here anymore for this land. So the reason you even have America, and Frederick Douglass talked about this, the only reason you have it is because a bunch of Haitians kicked a bunch of French folks' ass.